Tuesday, June 18th, the day after, the morning after, the Celtics win their 18th championship. And I'm curious from a player's perspective, and I get it's, different players, different sports, different teams. You won two of them here in New England. What is going to be different about their lives this morning? What's going to be different about Jason Tatum's life, all the way down to Peyton Pritchard? How do things change both, when you're talking about the game itself and then maybe away from the game, how you're received in the city of Boston and just kind of in the NBA in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, as a player, it probably hasn't even sunk into all of them. And I can't even imagine, listen, football is a long season, but basketball and some of these other sports, they have incredibly long seasons. You're playing so many games on the road, all over the place. Um, when it finally sinks in, I think it's a tremendous accomplishment, to win at any level, to win a championship at any level in any sport. Obviously, it's an accomplishment. I think doing it in the city of Boston, it's a special place to win a championship just because of the sports fans that the city of Boston has, essentially all over the country, right? And they travel so well, and there's going to be this enormous parade for these guys, and there's going to be millions of people that are going to pack these streets and just show their support and their love for these guys, right? That they've been behind for the entire year, and they've had an awesome team. So, and you just don't know, like, this team might not be together next year, and essentially could be a completely different team next year. So I think from a player perspective, you really just try to enjoy the moment, right? Enjoy the parade, enjoy the parties or whatever comes after this. Obviously there's going to be, endorsement deal, stuff. People are going to come after you, right? Like, you just won a championship. Like, there's going to be so many opportunities for you to go this place and make this and do that. And I think it's important to, obviously do those things if you want to do them, but also, spend the time with your family, man. I mean, the ones that have been supporting you through this entire season, and enjoy it with them, right? Because they're living this thing too. They weren't out there physically playing, but I remember after 2017, we won in Atlanta, or we beat Atlanta, we won in Houston, and my wife was not able to come because she was, 8 months pregnant with twins, and she was obviously pretty bummed about that. But we got home and I was like, listen, there's a parade tomorrow. She's like, and she literally was in the car like that morning driving up, and she was on the parade. She was on the boat. Like, she didn't miss it. Right. It was unfortunate that she was not unfortunate. Like, listen, my kids were born a month later, and, we played it. We had to be smart about it, but I was so happy that I was able to share the parade moment with her, the days after with her, where, she was just as much a part of that entire season with me, as all my teammates were, obviously in a different way, but, she was there, and I got to celebrate with them and her and do all those different things. So listen, man, it's a special thing to win a championship. So very, very happy for the city of Boston and for the Celtics. Congratulations to all those guys. I hope that they enjoy it, and just understand that there's going to be a few weeks of just probably complete chaos, and then close the yearbook on to next year.
Back to it, back in the gym. I'm curious, and you guys didn't get a chance in the final moments of Super Bowl 51, but Super Bowl 53, you knew with like a minute or so left on the clock, you guys were gonna win. And last night they had, it was a blowout, and so they had some time as the clock was ticking to zero to really kind of sink it in. You saw Jason Tatum kind of break down a little bit.
Yeah.
You saw a range of emotions from the guys. For a player, what's that like when
I mean,
you know that
yeah.
there's like the time is ticking down, and you're going to be a champion? In those moments, is there excitement, anxiety, reflection? What did you feel?
There's zero anxiety. I'll tell you that much. I think it's just this wave of emotions that just comes over you. And, if obviously, I mean, for players that get to that point multiple times in their career, I can't say that the emotions or what like ever changes. But for someone, let's just say for your first one or your first championship or your first experience, you dream about this, right? This is what you dream about as a kid, playing in a championship game, winning a championship at that level in the professional league. And you go back, like, I mean, for me, it was, I mean, listen, we won our first one. The emotions that went through my brain in probably a matter of 30 seconds was just was insane, just because we won. First of all, I knew we were going to win with that play. And then when it happened, it was just like, oh, I mean, I'm getting chills just thinking about it, just because it's so, you work so damn hard to just get to this point. And I think there's just, you're happy, right? You're emotional just because it's something that you've looked forward your entire life as when you started playing sports. You get to share it with all your teammates that you've been through, blood, sweat, and tears, and all the stuff that you've been through together, training camp, to whatever, all the practices, all the lifts, all the ups and the downs, getting through adversity, and then it all just kind of comes to this point, right? And you get to win a championship, and I think there are probably there's no sad tears, but happy tears are definitely a real thing. And it's just that it's almost undescribable, that emotion that you feel. I mean, I can only say, like, listen, when I played in my first one and we won a championship, and the way that we won, we could have blown them out. I think I would have still felt the same way. It was just, you want to share it with every single person on that team, and you want to just, that's what I remember. I remember just seeing everybody and it just being like, just the same reaction, one after the other, just like, just pure, it's just pure happiness, man. I mean, you work again, like, you put so many hours in preparation into playing this game, and then you finally get to play in a game that there is no tomorrow, and it's the most important one, and you get to win a championship, and you get to, that's something that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. And I think that's probably one of the cooler things about playing in a championship at a professional level.
I remember covering. I covered all the Super Bowls. I covered all 6 Super Bowls, but I have a picture that I sent to you of you in the locker room with Slater and the trophy. And I'm glad that you bring up the phrase just pure happiness, because the look on your face was just like, the smile could not have gotten any bigger.
Yeah.
And it took me to last night where you saw the level of emotion from those guys. And it's just, there's a sense of, I always think of the Bill Parcells quote. It's like, for the rest of your lives,
Yep,
you're going to have that staple to your resume. No one can tell you that you're not a champion. And to be able to see guys like Tatum and Brown and Horford, who played a million years in the league and had yet to win a championship.
Yeah.
There's a level of gratification. I have a feeling for any athlete, but for an athlete who's been in the game for a while, to be able to kind of cross that finish line and have that on your resume, to have the period at the end of the sentence, the exclamation point saying, look, now I'm a champion, has got to be incredibly gratifying.
Yeah. I mean, think about all the guys that, like, that had amazing careers, right? But they're always the one dig at all these guys. How many championships you got, right? Randy, right? He's up there. Why couldn't, in the roast, right? Why couldn't we cheat when I was here? But guy that's a Hall of Fame receiver and, never won a chip. And that's not dimming what he did as a player, but like, those guys, I mean, that's what they live for, man. I mean, like, he would have probably killed to get in, like, to win a championship. And I think for guys like Horford, I mean, you never know if you're going to get back to that moment. Listen, I was very fortunate to play on a team that went to 3 Super Bowls 3 years in a row. I mean, that doesn't happen, right? And we won 2 of them, lost 1 of them, but like, I still went to 3 of them, and those are things I will never forget for the rest of my life. To the day that I'm, my time on this earth ends, I'm going to be talking about those games and those rings and those teams, just because they leave such a mark, on you as a person, just because those are special teams. You're never going to I guarantee you're never going to talk to someone who wins a championship and they're not going to talk about the type of team that they had that year.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? Where everyone clicked, everyone got along with each other, everyone supported each other. We all held each other accountable. There was no me guys. There was no just I'm gonna do my own thing and just get stats. Like everyone was just all about winning. And I think at any level, if you ask someone who won a championship, that's gonna be part of the conversation. And for me, it was always part of the conversation. Those were amazing teams that I was on.
I'm glad you bring up the quotes from Randy Moss because I kind of want to shift gears a little bit to the Brady night
Yeah.
that they just had at Gillette Stadium. I was curious to get initially just kind of get your thoughts. It felt appropriate and going back to the basketball line of thinking Larry Bird had a night at the old Boston Garden
Mm-hmm.
to kind of commensurate with his level of contribution. And it felt like this worked for Tom.
Yeah. I mean, wish I could have been there. I had we had a big karate night. We were moving up in belt class, so I needed to be there to support my son, but followed it along. And I mean, knowing Mr. Crafts, right? I mean, he spares no expense for his guy, and he deserved everything that happened then that night. I mean, I thought I got chills when Jay-Z was coming out and he was playing the song. I was like, oh man, this is intense. Seeing all those guys come back and obviously be there for supporting Tom. I think what was really cool was Bill's entrance.
Mhm.
And we talked about it, right?
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure that I said he was going to come back.
You did, you
And
called it,
so
yeah.
I was happy to, see that come true. But his reception from the fans and from I mean, I seemingly it was the standing ovation was going to go on for the next hour if they let
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
um, but I think that just like, I think we talked about it before we started. It just that kind of ties this whole thing up of what Bill meant to this city, right?
Mhm.
To this team, to this organization. Like, yeah, did the last couple of years kind of not go his way and but did it tarnish what people think of him and how they feel about him? I mean, absolutely not. I mean, there were that his reception that night was just is exactly what you would think it would be.
There was a
Nothing
there
but
was
love, man.
there was a really nice the phrase that I kept coming back to was there was a great sense of closure there
Yeah.
because you really didn't get that the last regular season game. It was miserable. It was snowing.
Hmm.
People had left. They were losing to the friggin' Jets. It didn't feel like the way to end that relationship. In
Yeah.
the other night, I know it was about Tom and Tom's contribution and honoring him, but at the same time, it just tied a nice little bow on Belichick's career here in New England. Everyone can kind of move forward, and I'm guessing it's going to lay the foundation, figuratively, for a Belichick statue one day down the road.
Yeah. I mean, it's well deserved.
Mhm.
It's well deserved. I could, you couldn't think of another person that, would deserve that sort of recognition for what he did for an organization for, over 2 decades. And it was very cool to see. I mean, the whole night was very
Yeah.
cool. Obviously like they, all the people that came up and talked and told stories about Tom and the type of person and I think what's really cool is that most of these people are not they were talking about the football player, but they were talking about the man.
Yeah.
And like that's like always something that I always talk about. Oh, what's Tom Brady like? What's Tom like? What's Tom like, dude, he's a great football player, but let me tell you something, like this dude is just one of the guys. And like he's a friend, he's a teammate, he's a dad. He's just one of these guys that you can talk to and he'll listen, right? And he'll give you advice and he'll be that guy. That's something that, like, to me, when I first met him, obviously he knew me by my first and last name and introduced himself as Tom Brady. I'm like, I think we've talked about this before. And, that's just the type of guy that he was, man. He knew every single person in that stadium, every single person, managers, equipment staff, practice squad, training, front office, like probably knows all of you guys by first name. Like, it's just that's the type of guy that he was, man. I mean, you want to talk about his football legacy? That's great. He's a Hall of Famer. He should go in the Hall of Fame tomorrow, right? Because he's the greatest of all time. But you want to talk about the type of man that he was and the type of person and teammate that he was? That's special. You know, this guy was loved by everybody, and he was a winner. And whether you loved him, but you respected him if you were on the other opposing team, right? Like,
Yeah.
there was always, you might have hated him, but you damn sure respected him for the type of person that he was.
He was disarming. I always tell people that you see him and you see Tom Brady in capital letters and 50 feet tall neon, but the way he speaks, at least the way he communicated, for a long time on a regular basis with the guys in the locker room, you could walk up to him and ask him a question, whatever the case may be. It was disarming the way he would look you in the eye and address you. And that's a bit of a rarity these days among a lot of athletes where they don't look you in the eye. He would look you in the eye and he would address you directly. One more question on the statue thing. I know that they have one in Miami for Shula and Marino. They have one in Green Bay for Curly Lambeau and Vince Lombardi. And so it feels like it's appropriate. And I'll also say too, I'd be willing to bet you we're going to get a Robert Kraft statue before it's all said and done, because there are owners out there who have built statues to themselves. I don't know if it's going to be, while he's still with us, but I could see in that plaza there outside
the Hall of Fame, like
outside the Hall of Fame,
right
you get 3 statues, and then that feels like people were like, well, they should build one to Gronk, and they should build one. Just let's cap it at 3.
Right. Gronk, there's a lot of, we could go on and on. There's a lot of good players, right? But these are guys that changed the face of football, right? And we're talked about for years, and they're going to be talked about for years and years and years and years, for what they did for the game. And not taking away from all the other great players, but these guys were special, and they were special to New England and to that organization, right? And so I think they deserve, the statue. I think would be a really cool thing. I guarantee you, at some point there will be a Robert Kraft statue as well. I mean, all 3 of those guys, and you're going to mention New England, you're going to mention Robert Kraft, Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick for many, 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 many years, until this team starts winning championships of their own without those guys.
So the guy who's charged with, at least as we sit here right now, with being the next guy, Drake Maye, just finished up his first off season with the Patriots, just finished up minicamp, was part of a group that just finished up minicamp. For me right now, it's mid-June and he hasn't taken a significant snap yet, but he has done well. He has done well with the performative aspects of the job, showing up for charity things, and he was there at Tom Brady Night, and he's saying all the right things, and he's doing all the right things on the field. He's getting in and out of the huddle quickly.
Yeah.
He is looking efficient. He is now taking reps ahead of Bailey Zappi. And so we're seeing Jacoby Brissett as the number 1, Drake Maye as the number 2. How many games do you think he's going to play this year? That's the debate up here, at least when you're talking about him moving forward into the 2024 season. I had him at about 5. I don't know if that's too conservative, but it feels like we're careening toward Jacoby Brissett starting the year, but Drake Maye at some point over the course of the 2024 season, because he's coming on, we're going to see him before this is all said and done.
I think, over the last couple months, I've been thinking about it. I think that I'm leaning more towards your way of thinking here. I think Jacoby is probably what they're going to go with. And I think Drake's playing time is going to be dictated on how Jacoby plays, right? I don't think that there's going to be a situation if Jacoby's playing lights out, we're not going to change it up, right? But if he's out there and, there are some struggles, or there's, some games that he struggles a lot, then the conversation begins. Now it's like, okay, is it time to let Drake play? Right. So I think you listen, you got to be careful with it. You don't want to throw a rookie into a bad situation and then set them up for failure. We've seen it time and time again for guys that just like it just ruins their career, whether, and it just ruins their confidence. And that's something that you don't want to do. But at the end of the day, he's got to be a professional and he's got to learn how to deal with the ups and downs, and just continue to grow this year. But I think for Jacoby, it's, um, you know, I would try to knock this elephant out of the room pretty quickly and just be like, "Hey, man, this is your job. All right, you're
And
our
he's done a
starter."
great job with that whenever we've asked him about that. He's been
Yeah,
very deferential to Drake, and he understands, look, this is going to be, he's going to be the guy moving forward. I'm the guy
yep,
now, but he's going to
yep,
be the guy moving forward.
yeah. But and I think like if I'm Gerard, I'm just say, "Hey, we're going to training camp. Jacoby, you're number one. You're a starter. Drake, you're number two. You prepare as a starter. You prepare as you're playing every single game." And that's how we're going to go into the season. And then, we just have to listen. We can't just like push the panic button the second that Jacoby throws an interception or we lose a game. Like that's not the right way of thinking or going about this. And I know everyone's going to want a kid. We want Drake. We want Drake. We drafted Drake third overall. Like I get it. But like just listen, man, there's a long-term play here. We are not totally built to win right now, but we are putting the right people in place. We've drafted the right people. We've gotten some talent around these guys, and there's got to be a process here to winning. So they have to be able to stick to their own process and trust their own process. And I think that they have the right guys, at the helm here to kind of do all of that. And then, kind of see what happens over the course of the season. Listen, if there's a chance that Drake wants to play or hey, like we are find ourselves up, and there's a chance for him to play or come in and just get some reps, whether dude, just hand the ball off, just get him in the game. Let him hand the ball off 30 times, right? Or to close out a game. Like that's like may not seem like nothing, but it is something, right? And that's real live bullets, reps, taking snaps in a real game, calling out the huddle, calling out the plays, and just get him a little bit of momentum. And then, we see what happens. I think, I really I couldn't put a number on it, how many games he's going to play. I couldn't.
Okay. How much of that decision going from Jacoby Brissett to Drake Maye is going to depend on the rest of the offense? Because I think you can make a case that, look, I don't want to put my rookie quarterback out there right now.
Yeah.
Right out of the, start the season. And I know it's different for different. I know Caleb Williams is going to be the guy in Chicago, and I acknowledge that. But when you sit here and you think about this offensive line, you think about the skill position players around him, you think about the uncertainty with this offense.
Yeah.
I have no problem letting Jacoby Brissett start the season, even if
Yeah,
Drake
yeah.
Maye is lights out all summer.
I mean, but he probably will be. Like, listen, he's going to be scripted for success in training camp. They're going to want to see this kid do good. So it's like, okay, cool. These are the plays that were running 7-on-7. These are the plays that were running. Like, I know how this goes in training camp. Yes, there are going to be competitive periods, and we will see how well he does in a 2-minute situation where there is no script and plays are just being called, or, we're in a competitive red zone period and, there is no script, right? And now you have to deal with, hey, like Gerard is going to be super, super aggressive and send blitz zero and send the house every single play and see how he handles it.
Yeah.
Right. So like there are going to be that stuff. That's where Jacoby's going to be able to kind of separate himself a little bit just because he has seen it. He knows probably what to do. He's going to be a little bit more calm underneath pressure. And, we're going to see why Jacoby should be the starter. Right. I think that both of them are going to have great training camps. I think that all the skill position guys, I think they should really understand that these are the two, right? If you're taking reps with Drake or Drake taking reps with Jacoby, like these are our two guys. And obviously we move closer to the season, we have to switch kind of, okay, Jacoby needs to get a lot of the reps with the first teamers. And so we have all the timing and all that kind of stuff. But I think you approach it from a team perspective and from all the guys on offense, like these are our two guys. And we need to prepare like one or two of these guys are going to play in the game.
One of the other things that I thought of was that barring injury, once you make that move to Drake Maye,
You're
again,
stuck.
barring injury, yeah, that's you can't go back.
No.
You
Nope.
can't go back. You can't, I don't know, put the toothpaste back in the tube, whatever phrase you want to use here. That's your guy moving forward. You can't
That's what
get
I'm
out
taught.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't get out there and have him lay an egg and then yank him and put Jacoby back in.
Right. I mean, you saw like, listen, Zach Wilson's career in New York was a disaster because it was up and down. We pulled him. We started him. He's our starter. He's not our starter. It's like, as a quarterback, man, it's just like, does this team even want me out here? Do they
Exactly.
even
Yeah.
support me? And I don't think that. Listen, I know this Drought's first year, but I know that he's going to try to do this thing the right way. And if they put Drake out there, then we put Drake out there, and he's going to have to, deal with the ups and downs. And hopefully he just goes out there and plays lights out. But we both know that there's going to be a time where kid goes out and throws 3 or 4 interceptions because it's just something he hasn't seen before. Just a tough defense that they're playing against. And that's okay, man. Like that's a lot. There's a lot of great quarterbacks that have gone out and done exactly what we're talking about, but they learn from it and they grow from it and then they don't do it again. And it's like, that's just part of the game. So I think it just, as long as the team is seeing his progression, fans and a lot of people on the outside looking in are not going to see it, but because they're not there every single day, they're not in practice. But in a game, all you want to see is this kid just making the right decisions and trying to get the ball in the right people's hands and just playing hard, right? I think that's probably what is going to overcome some of the
Mhm.
lows, right? Where you get a guy like Baker does it all the time, man. I mean, he plays with energy, dude. I mean, he'll go out, throw 4 interceptions, but then the next possession, he's going to come out and try to run over a linebacker and get all pumped up. And people love that and the team loves that because you know that this guy cares. So as long as he's vocal and he's communicating, he cares and he's learning, I think the team is going to respect that. And I think the guys will respect that. And he'll, this year, next year, whenever he gets in the game, he's going to do well.
All right, last question for me this week. I want to ask you, and the question that I get the most from people when I tell them I do a podcast with Chris Hogan is, what is Chris Hogan up to these days? Tell me about your business, because we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Tell me about your business, what you're doing, and what you got coming up this summer.
Oh, so I opened up a gym in Long Island. This was my little passion project because my wife was tired of me playing golf 4 days a week. So I opened up a gym, got full physical therapy in here, recovery center. We do adult fitness. I got all the speed and strength training for all the athletes. I built it for athletes, right? My vision for this place was I'm going to have athletes come in here and they don't have to go another place for physical therapy. They don't have to go to another place for recovery. It's all going to be underneath one roof. So it's been a lot of fun for me to grow this. And I have some great partners on the physical therapy side of things that we have a great physical therapist in here and hopefully to only grow into a few more. And we have all walks of life in here. What Chris Hogan is doing is teaching a 7 a.m. adult class every single morning on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And this is now my locker room. This is where I found, because that's something that I missed so much after I was done playing. You miss playing, you miss the lights, you miss Sundays, but that locker room vibe was something that I missed a lot, more than I thought I was going to. And so I come in here every single morning. And I teach an adult class and I have fun with it. We do tons of different things. So doing that. And then, obviously just 4 kids at home, just coaching lacrosse, coaching football, coaching basketball. Haven't gotten into coaching soccer yet. So I might leave that one for
That's
other
coming.
people to do.
That's coming. That's coming, man.
But I've dove head on into the coaching thing. I've enjoyed it. My kids are getting to an age where they're enjoying sports. They're getting into it. I still have 2 little ones that haven't really gotten into it, but I can only tell you that my life is going to get busier and busier as they get more into these things. And they're all finishing up school. I got kids going into 2nd grade next year, one going into kindergarten, and another one going to preschool. So this week's all moving up ceremonies and graduation, and then we're going into the summer, and I know they're looking forward to it. So um life is, and then my wife, she's full-time doctor. So it's all good here on Long Island. But if you are in Long Island and you need a place to work out, Evolution Physical Therapy and Fitness, 7 a.m. This is the spot. Summer's going to be a lot of fun.
You got a
If
website?
you're, yeah.
What are they? What can we, let's put it on the screen. Tell people what it is.
It's we got to do it's Evolution Physical Therapy and Fitness, Long
Okay.
Island. You'll be able to see where the location is. You can see all these pictures, saunas, cold plunge. I got everything. And then you can follow us on Instagram, Evolution Physical Therapy. And Evolution Long Island is our IG handle. We got some really cool content going on right now. I just became an affiliate of this. Actually, you might be into this because you're a
Okay.
runner. Have you heard of this High Rock stuff?
Yeah.
Yes. So I just became an affiliate of High Rocks. They just did one in New York. It's like, so I found out about this workout. And really it's pretty cool, right? It's not CrossFit. It's really for everyone. And I think it's going to become one of those benchmark things, like a marathon.
Okay.
Right? It's intense.
Yeah.
It's very intense.
I've heard it's very intense, but it's not CrossFit level intense.
It's not CrossFit level. You could absolutely do it. You have to be good. You have to be a runner, right? It's like workout, run, workout, run, workout, run. So it's a lot of running. But we just had an event this past weekend where we did like a mini version of it. We had like 30 people out here, and it was a lot of fun. And I myself am getting into it because I need to improve my cardio since I've done playing. I haven't really done much of running since I've done playing. So I've gotten into it a little bit. I'm trying to become a runner in my post career life. So you'll have to come down here, and next event that we have, you'll have to partake in it. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a community thing, and it's huge in Europe. I mean, they're selling 20,000-30,000 tickets for these things. And New York, they sold out within minutes, and I think there's going to be one in Atlanta. There's going to be one in Fort Lauderdale. I know they're having one like, up north in in Toronto, I think. So they're all over the place, and going to be something. You can do it as a team. You could do it as a four-way. You could do it with two people. You could do it as a single. So it seems to be a cool thing that are people and that are getting involved into, and something that everyone, I think you're going to get. It's kind of like, you get those little bumper stickers when you complete your marathon.
26.2.
You get a nice little pat. Yeah, where you got one? There it is.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
I may have one or two others lying around here somewhere.
Yeah. So you get a patch, that says that you completed it and does all things. And so it's a good time. So that's something cool that we're doing over here. So if you're looking for a High Rocks gym in Long Island, this is the place to do it.
Well, you posted something on social media a while back of you, either the gym or you working out. And I took it and I said, my podcast partner can beat the shit out of your podcast partner. So kudos to you for embracing that next phase of your life, go diving into the fitness end of it. You've always been a guy who's always taken pride in that, but to be able to do that, especially at this phase of your life, I think is particularly commendable. Chris Hogan, thank you very much, as always, for your time. Take care, and we will talk again very, very soon.
All right, brother.